Last time out, we had gotten our youth intake, and today we have reached the end of the season, but I want to go over some more of the players and actually go over one of the players because I've given this guy his debut and I think he's quite good. Now, whether or not he ends up becoming the 5-star ability player that I think he can remains to be seen, but I gave him a debut because I had the option to do so. But there's one more thing I should talk about before I get into the first game that's happened since we last met, and that's a sale of a big name who's been with us for the longest of times. Marcel Samaizuk was sold to Al Taron for £100,000, and I didn't want to sell him, but he was pretty much telling me that he was going to leave anyway, and I thought, you know what, if you're going to leave, I'll sell you. He's getting paid 4.1 grand a week to play in Saudi Arabia, and fair play to him, he's been consistent, but he's done a lot of things for us over the years, and the fact he played 435 games for us in the league is very impressive, and I wish him nothing but the best. The first game we had after the youth intake was against Vista Plugs in the Esklasse, and we drew 3-3, but gave up a equalizer in the 92nd minute of the game. We had to come from behind twice in this game as well, so I'm honestly a little disappointed with the fact that we didn't win this game, given the fact that we actually made ourselves work for this performance. But yeah, it's not ideal that we go into the international break with this kind of result, but we've been really good otherwise, and hopefully we continue to be quite good. Brunswick Narcissa was the next opponent we had, and we could have gone behind very early on in the game, but they missed a penalty. We then took the lead, only to then concede an equalizer in the 71st minute and draw again for the second game in a row. It's not often we draw in this league, but we decided to start drawing games now, and honestly, I'm a tad bit disappointed with it. Then we took a Sevilla in the Europa League, and am I unlucky? Are we unlucky not to have gotten anything out of this game? Because we looked good value for our equalizer at some point, but we just didn't get the equalizer we needed, and unfortunately, we also got a lot of bookings, but we tried our best in this game, and we just came up short, unfortunately. They had more shots on target, and that's what cost us in the end. We had more shots on goal, but they had the possession. We were quite good otherwise, and I think we actually did quite good in this situation, all things considered, really. Lechia Dines was the next team that we took on, and it was in the league, and we've drawn 3 games in a row in the league for the first time in a very long time. I don't remember the last time we've done this, but yeah, we're drawing games in the league. We've not won in 4 matches now. Should I be concerned? I don't think I should be concerned, right? Then we took a Sevilla in the second leg of the Europa League quarterfinal, and we're beaten 2-0 by Marcos, a defender. They scored from 2 set pieces. We had the better XG again. We actually had the same amount of shots on target this time, but we just didn't take our chances. And admittedly, I saw mostly their highlights, but we definitely did show that we deserved to be here. And all things considered, can I say I'm happy with the performance? No, because we lost, but we actually out-XG'd them in both games. So yeah, I feel like we deserve to be at this stage of the competition. We deserve to be fighting these big teams in Europe, but I don't think we have the right mentality. We don't have the right level yet, but we're still a little bit short of getting there, and that's exciting. Poggers Switzing was the next opponent, and this was a big clash for the championship's point of view, and we took an early lead. They came from behind and then made it 2-1. We then equalized in the 76th minute, and then Busek scored in the 92nd minute from a corner to ensure we get all 3 points against our biggest title rival this year. Happy performance, really good stuff. I'm a bit more relieved that we got our first win since the youth intake arrived. We then took on Gornik Zabrze, and we already won the game by half time. A very good performance, 3-0 up, and yeah, Dariusz Jasinski showing that he is very good at the job, and he's quite good as a striker, so very much needed to keep him around, I think, for next year, but we're looking strong, and hopefully this is not going to be the last win we have of the season. Then we took a Swaz Wroclaw and were absolutely battered, 4-1, in the first half no less. So I don't know what happened here, but they got 3 goals in about 6 minutes, and yeah, we just capitulated. We absolutely capitulated before my very eyes, and I couldn't figure out what was going on or how to fix it, because we definitely weren't the worst team in the game. We actually deserved to win this match, if you look at the stats, but other than the fact that the goals went against us and they just were very clinical, we were just unfortunate to lose this game, I think, and disappointed with this result, to say the least. I don't often lose this convincingly and in this manner. I don't think I've conceded 4 goals in the game in a very long time either. So it was out of the blue for me, and I was not prepared for it. So something to work on, I think. We then took Krakowie, and we could have won the title if we won this game, but we didn't win the title today, despite the fact that we tried absolute damnness to win. So we got unfortunate. Their goalkeeper decided to be really good, and yeah, just unfortunate that this was not the game to win the title. But then we took on Legia Warsaw, and despite conceding in the 94th minute of the game to ensure we didn't win against our fierce rivals at this point, but despite the fact we didn't win, Pocket Switzerland did not win either. They needed to win, and we were crowned champions. We lifted the trophy for the 5th time of the save, and for the first time ever in this edition of the game, in 3 years in a row. I've not done it with any club so far. It's the first time I've done it, so the fact it's this team that I've won 3 league titles in a row with, and that we've absolutely dominated a league again to this extent to win 3 in a row, is great. It also makes sure that we are one of the very few teams to have won 5 league titles in this competition's era now, and in fact, we're only one of 7 clubs to have done it. If we win our 6th league title, we'll officially be outright 6th place. Legia Warsaw, Górnik Zabrze, Wisła Kraków, Łuchów, and Lech Poznan are the only 5 teams to have won 10 or more titles in this save. I know Lech Poznan have not done it in real life, but in this save, because they won their titles, they've actually got to the 10 league titles now. Legia Warsaw are 1 away from 20. I want to be that dominant that I get to 21st. And to do with Motor Lublin what Sir Alex Ferguson did with Manchester United and overtake Liverpool. So Legia Warsaw are our Liverpool effectively. And I hope we can do it, but if they get the 21st, then they get the 21st. It's not the end of the world. I just like to set goals myself, because I generally don't think we'll win the Champions League title before we get the 20 league titles, which is sounding a bit ominous, but what can you do? Either way though, we're looking quite good, and the game was honestly in our hands. Even if we didn't get the result we wanted on the pitch, we still got the result we wanted off the pitch with the title, so it was happy days either way. But in our last game of the season, we took on Redon and lost 2-0. Yeah, this was not expected, and I was a bit startled when this happened. I like to think it wasn't because of the fact we got complacent that we lost this game, but I wouldn't be shocked if it was the case. I also rotated the squad a little bit as well and gave some young talent a chance to make their debuts, like Marco, for example. He made his debut in this match because I had the opportunity to give him his debut since we already won the title and we had a load of injuries. But yeah, it wasn't our best moment, and they just looked better at set pieces. It was a set piece goal again that gave them the lead, and despite that, we dominated the game. And I'm just disappointed we lost this game, quite frankly. It just feels like I'm in a period where we've gone 4 games at a win in the league now, by the way, that maybe 4 in a row might be a bit one step too far. I hope that's not the case, but I wouldn't be shocked if it ends up being the case, you know? But either way, though, we have won the title for the 5th time in the save and 3 in a row, despite the fact that Pokémon Switzerland had a player that scored 36 league goals. Here's a thing for you that's going to shock a lot of people. We didn't have a single player that got 20 goals. We only had 2 players with 14 or plus goals. We did the job either way there. But yeah, I think we're going to have to talk about the squad in long term, what I want to do with it. And I feel like neither striker really is my first choice at this point. I can just rotate and it works, but I don't know. I feel like I need a Haaland or a Kennebo at this point, or a Cremon, because I need a striker that can get 30, 20 plus goals, I think, at this point. And yeah, it's definitely getting to the point that I'm concerned about it, but defensively we're so good that it almost doesn't matter. But let's review the season either way. We have that crown, as expected. It's the only one we got this year. We made a lot of sales as well, like either transfers out. I think this is transfers out. This is a thing, isn't it? So I think because I've already been through this, it's going to show some questionable things, but we made a few transfers out and yeah, it happened. I think if anything, it's more detailed. Some of it's more detailed than others, but we made a load of sales, made a load of loans out as well, and I felt like I made a good call with some of these signings and some of these players going out on loan to do things, but I might not have done otherwise. Either way though, I hope that in the future we have good things. Season though, we won the league by 6 points. Not as dominant as last year, but we were so good that we almost broke a record, so I'm not shocked by that. Champions League, this still annoys me because of the fact that we should have beaten this team and they end up getting knocked out in the league phase anyway. Good for their point of view financially, but disappointing with how they went. Europa League, this is much better than expected. I did not think after the start we had, after losing to Motor, that we'd actually get to the quarterfinal in the end, but beating Lille was great. Lech Poznan being our opponents in this competition was not ideal because I actually wanted to do well. The fact it was a two Polish teams face off against each other was not great, but we made the use of a bad situation, I suppose. And quarterfinal of the cup, and yeah, I need to win this league and cup at some point. I really do. That's starting to get annoying that I can't do that. And the Super Polski, Legia beat us. This year, they won't be our opponent next year, so I can guarantee that will be a thing. Moments to remember, the 7-0 win against Wisla Plock. So the fact we ended up drawing 3-3 against them in the second game is a bit more bizarre to me. The match to remember being a 2-1 victory against Dnipro was great, and Smolek's goal against MacLeod was the goal of the season, so let's see this goal. So this goal was to make it 2-2 and to get an equalizer for us, and I don't remember this, but Smolek's gone for a goal. It's a good goal, but I think we scored better. I'm just saying it here now. Not often I say that, but I felt like we scored better than that. Finances, because we weren't in the Champions League, we lost about 20 million in prize money, which is not ideal, but we're still making 1.75 million in merchandise, so that's great. And we almost sold 10,000 shirts, which again is wonderful. Sponsorship by about 90 grand was great. We did lose some money in broadcast as well, but it was to be expected. This is how we lined up, and this is who was great. No one really stood out this year, which says a lot, but I'm hoping that isn't going to be a running trend for us. And also, Samazuk having a 6.7 average rating and being our best player, that's not even for us, so that's annoying that that's still there, but what can you do? I hate that bug, I really do. Accolades, well, we're quite good. Borlek got the Fans Player of the Year, Novak was Young Player of the Year, and Smolek was the man with the goal of the season. Robert Kowalski was the top goal scorer, 21 goals in all competitions, so Bren with the most assists with 12. Kowalski getting the most player of the match awards and the highest average rating was useful, and Smolek completed the most passes per 90. Kowalski now got 158 league goals in his career, so he's definitely becoming a trendsetter for us, and I hope that continues. But yeah, 3 league titles in a row. Good stuff. I hope this continues and we can do more. Yeah, Lech Poznan might have won the cup, if you could tell that is the case, but there you go. Look how tight it was in the end for their European spots. It almost could have gone down to the last game, but it never was. But yeah, at one point we won 10 games in a row in all competitions, so that was great. And yeah, we sold a fan favourite for £100,000, but that's fine. We also don't have a lot of landmarks saying we've invested in potential anymore, which is very interesting, but I like to have more things. Surprisingly, despite the thing, we've actually lost on hardcore fans. We've got more core fans instead. I'm going to look at this. The average football fans. So we actually now got 82,500 more followers as well on social media. I'm starting to get to the point that we might need to expand the stadium. I think it can be expanded. I'm going to check this out. So the stadium can apparently get to another 4,000 seats. I don't think it's almost worth investing in it for that reason. I think we need a bigger stadium, like a 30,000 seater stadium at this point, because I'm starting to think we're getting to the point that we're going to get a capacity crowd every week, and that's just a lot. Also, new things have happened here. The boards are getting more ambitious. Terrifying, I know, but they are getting ambitious. They want me to maintain the club's reputation as the best club, the biggest, most reputable club in the country, which is easy enough to do when we win the league. But they're actually starting to want me to challenge for the title themselves and actually win the title in 5 years. This board is now realizing, oh, we've won 3 in a row and we've actually got a decent squad now. Let's actually win the title every year. So that's going to be fun. They want me to challenge for the title. So get, I think, a top 3 finish every year. And then actually win the league outright. Which is going to be fun to acknowledge. There's a problem, but it's interesting that they've decided to go down the route. Also, we've got 91 million in the bank. This is why I'm talking about potentially expanding the stadium or even building a new one. Because I just think it's interesting. And also, when you look at that stadium, compare ourselves to the bigger teams in the stadium, and you think to yourself, we're half the capacity of a lot of these teams. Surely, we need to match the bigger teams in Poland because they've got the capacity for it. Why shouldn't we make a capacity for it? And also, our attendance by capacity is actually the highest at 95%. So, my mind, even though we only got 4 sellouts, we should at least attempt to expand the stadium or make it bigger. It's just me thinking this out loud, and I don't know. It's just the idea that we could do that is kind of interesting, and I feel like I might need to start talking to the board and saying, actually, can we expand the stadium? I think we can do better with this. I really do. But yeah, I mentioned it before, but Lech Poznan won the Puchar Polski. They actually beat Lech Wrocław in the finals. So, 2 clubs, 2 very famous clubs, fighting for this competition for the first time in a while. And yeah, I don't remember the last time they were actually in the final themselves, but the fact I'm noticing here is actually this competition is now the 6th biggest cup. When did this happen? When did it become such a big deal? I'm very confused by that, but it's one of the 7 cup competitions to be a 3.5-star competition, so surely our country's getting bigger and bigger, right? Right? Especially going forward a bit further now because the Champions League and European finals have now finished, so that's a thing I want to talk about. And also, the playoffs has happened. Oh, that's fun. So I might got PS as a affiliate. They're not going to be affiliates after this season because they just got promoted to the playoffs. So, yay. So a team that actually are quite successful in recent times. A former top division champion. So yeah, the fact that PS winning promotion means that we're going to lose another affiliate is funny. But Rakov, look at Rakov down in 17th. They're relegated. I might need to rescue them at some point. And that says a lot that I'm actually considering that as a possibility or something I need to do. But so I've mentioned the European competitions this year, and I really should talk about the teams that are in Europe this year. And given that some of these teams were doing okay, Lech Poznan, we knocked out ourselves, we know what happened to them. But so let's go with the teams anyway and go what happened in the Euro competitions. The Royal Antwerp knocked Lech Wrocław out of the Conference League in the 3rd quarterfinal round, so that's not ideal to say the least. The fact they lost to Gothenburg as well, that's not ideal to do that in the Europa League, but there you go. Yeah, we knocked out Lech Poznan in the Europa League, so that's not a shock there. But they did win the cup, so they're back in it this year. And they were knocked out of the Champions League by Anderlecht. And honestly, Anderlecht's not a shock. And it was only in the league path playoff that they got knocked out in, so they did quite well themselves there. Wisla Krakow were knocked out by West Brom in the Europa Conference League. That's significant for another thing I'm going to show you in a bit, but 4th quarterfinal round, I'm not upset with them in the slightest. Well, Wisla Łódź actually got to the knockout playoff round in the Conference League themselves, so we actually had 3 teams get through the league phase, or at least the top 4 positions in Europe, and actually make an impression. So while we got to the quarterfinal, at least 2 other teams got to the knockout playoff round in their respective competitions. So that's useful to say the least, and I'm happy we're doing quite well here. That being said, let's actually see who won these competitions this year. West Bromwich Albion have won the Europa Conference League. And their manager is going to amuse you, I think. Their manager is Wayne Rooney. He has guided his team to a Europa Conference League win, and he may have won the League Cup the year before, so he's gotten his team 2 trophies in their history. West Brom fans, are you excited? Newcastle beat Crystal Palace in the Europa League final on penalties. You know, Palace, who we'd lost 4-0 to at one point, yeah, they did quite well in this competition. Sevilla were knocked out by them by 5-0. Newcastle beat Troyes by 3-0 in the semi-final, so not really a shock there. But Newcastle doing quite well. Oscar Lopez with the trophy. Is that? No. It's their first European trophy in a very long time, though. Is it actually their first trophy this season of the save? If this is mad. I don't think it is. They did get 3rd place in the league in 2034, but they've not really cracked the top 4 otherwise. But they've not really cracked the top 3 otherwise. They've lost 3 Europa League finals before that final as well, but they have won 2 FA Cups, so there's that. Happy days. They've also lost in the Europa Conference League final, and they've won the League Cup. They've also won 2 Community Shields, so they have won trophies. Thank goodness for that. At least they've not been completely hopeless then. Palace though, Will Steele. Of course it's Will Steele. He's doing quite well for himself, isn't he? Managing Palace and actually getting to a European final, so there's that. As for the Champions League final, Bayern Munich have won it for the 2nd year running. Chelsea were the beaten finalists. The man who got Chelsea there, Unai Emery. Because why wouldn't it be Unai Emery? But who's the Bayern Munich manager? It is still Julian Nagelsmann managing Bayern Munich, and he's been there ever since and might have made them the most successful team in a very long time in all competitions. They've got 12 Champions League trophies now. He's got 6 of them, so the guy is good. Julian Nagelsmann is doing well for himself in the save, and he might be one day the greatest manager of all time, and he's still only 50. He's still got at least 15, 20 years to go. Terrifying, isn't it? Unless someone convinced him to leave Bayern Munich, he's at Bayern Munich for life, isn't he? But yes, now that we've won 3 league titles in a row, do we think this is going to be the year that we finally become a 3.5-star team? We got to the quarterfinal of the Europa League, which is also a 3.5-star competition, and the quarterfinal of the Pucharski, which is a 3.5-star competition as well. I like to think this is going to be the year that we finally break into the 3.5-star reputation category, and we can finally upgrade our youth facilities, because that is what's holding it back. The youth facilities cannot be upgraded unless we move up our reputation to 3.5-star. That is legitimately the reason. But what I'm going to do is end this here. I want to hear your thoughts and opinions on all of that down below. And I want to hear your prediction. How long will it take for our side to win the Champions League? I know we've not even gone past the knockout round yet, but we got to the quarterfinal of the Europa League this year, and if that's anything to go by, we're heading in the right direction. But either way, until next time, goodbye and well, good night.